Live it is. And okay, so what are we talking about today? We're talking about the SAVE plan. That's the SAVE. In case you are not familiar with it, most people are not, but there's about 75 million people who are impacted right now by the SAVE plan. And basically, the SAVE is a federal student loan. Let me see. Oh, all right. What I want to talk about here is not just how federal student loans work, but most importantly, what is happening with the SAVE plan. I want to read this off to you because a lot of people just are not aware. The U.S. Department of Education announced in March 27th, I believe, was when the decision was made for what's called the Unlawful SAVE plan. The SAVE is the Saving on a Valuable Education Plan. It was put in place by the Biden administration, and the Trump administration found it to be unlawful, or at least they went to court to fight it. Okay, so today, back on March 27th, the U.S. Department of Education began issuing guidance to all borrowers enrolled in the Unlawful SAVE plan. Okay, Saving on a Valuable Education, directing them to exit the plan and enter a legal federal student loan repayment plan. And the guidance is being sent to 7.5 million borrowers who enrolled in what's called an illegal SAVE plan based on the false promise of student loan forgiveness and artificially low monthly payments. Now, you may know somebody who signed up for this, okay, because hey, it was available. This is after COVID, right? I think it was around 2023 that this plan became available, and the Biden administration's third, it was their third, Biden administration's third and final attempt at a mass student loan forgiveness. Okay, it was blocked repeatedly by the federal district and appellate courts, and it basically could have cost taxpayers $342 billion over 10 years. Okay, and some people have been on it for that long. Okay, I say in 2023. But yeah, some people have been on it since the administration ruled it out, took it to the Missouri court, and under the Secretary of Education, Nicholas Kent, he said that today's guidance, which every borrower enrolled in defunct and illegal are terms that are being used for this SAVE plan, every borrower will receive over the next week. Let's see. It basically says that over the next few weeks that every borrower is going to be made aware of this. But they weren't receiving it in the next week. They basically like stages to this, right? So starting July 1st is what the courts actually have determined. Starting July 1st, the federal loan servicers, and there are several of them. MOHELA is one. You can think of other servicers like it's called AidServe. Trying to find all the names so that way you can have them in case you're using any of those servicers, which by the way is the United States government, the administration, the Department of Education, okay, that has the student loans, that actually owns the students that you could be getting your loans through, that where they are the ones managing like the customer service and all of the phone calls and things like that. So you may have a different company that you are getting your loans serviced through. There it is, I found it. Aidvantage is one, Aidvantage is one of those. There are other federal loan servers, and I'm going to paste it here. EdFinancial is one, Nelnet, OSLA servicing, and default resolution group. So you may be using any of these. I think I can put this here. Okay, you may be using any of these servicers for your student loans. Okay, so you should expect, if you are on the SAVE plan, you should expect to receive a communication starting July 1st. So right now, a lot of people have no idea that this has happened. They may not be checking the news, and you're not hearing about it from your student loan provider, carrier, communicator, right? But you will start hearing about it more and more, especially as July 1st rolls around, because after July 1st, you've got 90 days to switch to a different plan. So the Department of Education, through the Office of Federal Student Aid, FSA, will provide support to the 7.5 million borrowers currently enrolled in the SAVE plan. Okay, and FSA, Federal Student Aid, will email borrowers to inform them that the SAVE plan has ended and help them select a new legal repayment plan. Okay, because again, the SAVE plan was determined to be illegal. Borrowers will have ample time, plenty of time, to select a new legal repayment plan and resume repaying your federal student loans. Okay, there's more information if you want to look into this. You can, StudentAid.gov/court actions. You can look into the settlement directly if this is something that interests you, which it should if you have student loans right now. This is also something that should interest people who are looking to sign up for student loans. Okay, there was a whole thing in the Biden administration where he introduced COVID. A lot of things were introduced to try to help people out financially. But one of the things to know and be aware of is that student loans are not something that the banks administer. It's not something that a company on its own administers. It's something that the federal government owns. They're the ones that are the actual lenders in this situation. So that means that they can change things around. I don't want to say whenever they please, right? They have to go through court hearings, etc., right? But things can change. And Congress is also the one that sets the interest rates on the federal student loans as well. Each year, the interest rates change. So that's something to be aware of if you are borrowing money for student loans, is that these things literally can change because they're the ones that own it. Okay. So what does this mean to you? If you were on the plan, on the SAVE plan, and you need to switch, you're going to have from July 1st, 90 days. What is that? August, September, October. I think it actually is to September. You have until the end of September to switch to another form of payment, right? And you can do like a tiered standard plan that offers like fixed terms, 10, 15, 20, or 25 years for you to repay the loan. But what has basically happened for the last, I think it's almost 3 years that they've been fighting this in the court, is that people literally paid zero interest. Like they just like put a hold on it. Okay. And for some people, they saw in their student loan, like whenever they would log into that servicer's website, whoever the servicer is, or to FSA's website, they saw that their payment wasn't due until like November 30th, 2028. Okay. That is no longer the case. If you saw November 30th, 2028 in your next payment on your student loans, keep in mind that is not the case anymore. You have basically 90 days, April, May, June, okay, to start getting notifications and letters, and then until September, July, August, September, to switch to another payment plan. So that way you actually start paying the student loans. And this is what's going to happen. Like for some people, the payments was $0. Literally, they had paid $0 on their student loans since signing up for the SAVE plan, SAVE plan. But in the next few months, they're going to need to start paying something. It could be $150. It could be $300, depending on the size of the student loans, right? It could be significantly more. But a payment plan is going to need to be put in place, whether it's 10, 15, 20, 25 years. But you've had this period of time. If you signed up for it in 2023, you've had this period of time, literally with no interest, to have paid it off and not paid a dime of interest. Okay. But if you did not take that time to pay off the student loans or to pay it down, yes, this is going to feel like, oh my goodness, like it's a lot. But the reality is, it's the same amount. Like literally nothing changed. It's not as if the government added anything to your student loans. In fact, they took it off. They themselves paid or ate the interest for these years. Okay, but I say they did, but the reality is taxpayers did. We did. We ate your student loan interest payments that you agreed to pay when you sign up for the student loans. Taxpayers cover that for these years. And so as of right now, no one can sign up for the SAVE plan because it doesn't exist anymore. It's defunct, it's illegal. And so you should need to, as quickly as possible, prepare yourself to shift gears and start putting together a saving plan. So what does that look like? I want to make sure I'm covering all my bases before I switch gears here. It means that you are going to start looking into other alternatives. Okay, before I get into the alternatives, I am going to talk a little bit about different types of student loans. Okay, so for federal student loans, because this is what we're talking about, we're not talking about private student loans that are through actual companies. Okay, these are federal student loans, which is what most people qualified for, right? Especially when they are getting loans because they don't have the financial means. So direct subsidized loans, that's one thing I want to capture. Let me see if I can push this back. I think you can see me here. Yes, maybe I'll move this all the way out of the way. Okay, so you have what's called subsidized student loans. So subsidized basically means you're getting help. So what that means is if something is subsidized, it basically means that somebody else is chipping in. And so if you had a subsidized loan, the government, the US government, was paying your interest. Okay. And they were paying the interest on your student loans while you were still in school. And that basically gave you an opportunity to save up, work while you're in school, save up the money, do something. So that way, when you get out of school, you can pay it back quicker, faster. But subsidized was given to people who, let's say, made less, right? You didn't have high income. Your family didn't have high income, so they subsidized the student loans for you. They chipped in. And then we have the unsubsidized loans for, oh, and by the way, the subsidized loans is for undergrad. So if you're getting your bachelor's degree, right, that's what the subsidized student loans were for. And undergrad plus financial need. Okay, so people who had a financial need for the student loans, for getting into paying for college. And then we had the unsubsidized. Hope I spelled that right. Okay, the unsubsidized accrued interest while you were in school. So the US government was not paying the interest, you were paying the interest, or it was simply adding up. So your interest was accumulating. So I say you pay interest, okay, because the interest is adding up. This is in school, while you're in school, right? Okay, so unsubsidized, you pay the interest while you're in school, and unsubsidized is for undergrad and grad school. Okay, and so undergrad plus grad school. And there's no financial need requirements, okay? So this is not for people, it basically is not required that you have a financial need. Anybody can apply for this. And I'm not going to go too much into direct plus loans and direct consolidation loans. The direct plus is for like grad students or parents of undergrad students, right? If the parents were the ones taking out the student loans, they would do a direct plus loan. And a direct consolidation loan combines multiple different, like you can add up all of your, if you have combining student loans, okay? So I wanted to make sure that you had at least the knowledge. These are the two most common, is the subsidized and the unsubsidized, okay? All right. Now, I'm gonna put this in the chat. 2025, 2026. I don't know what the interest rate is for 2026, 2025, 2026. But this here that I'm putting in the chat is the interest rate. I think it had too many letters in it. Okay. Is the interest rate for, let me see if I just put it for 2020, the last few years. Okay, at least I'll put it for 2024, 2025. This is the interest rate for 2024, 2025 school year. Okay, 6.53 for undergrads. Okay, and if you're a grad student, 8.08. So what this means is this: every year, Congress is the one that determines the interest rate on student loans. Again, we're talking federal. So federal student loans, Congress determines the interest rate. And it's gone up, down, up, down. So in 2021, I'm just going to put the graduation year, okay? So in 2021, the interest rate for undergrad was 2.75%. Okay, in 2022, I should put this in front, 2023, 2024, and 2025 is the one I have the data on, okay? So you can see how this has been changing. In 2022, it was 3.73. In 2023, it was 4.99. You see the pattern here? In 2024, it was 5.5. And in 2025, it is or was 6.53. Okay, so in 2026, it's a question mark. I'm going to find that out. If you know it, you can put it in the chat. But you see this gradual increase since, you notice that year? COVID. Since COVID. Prior to COVID, it was going down, and then it started coming right back up. Okay, so the Congress is the one who sets this. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, is that Congress sits together, convenes, and they make a decision every year as to what the interest rate is for that school year. Okay, and it's different. Right now, I'm just giving you the undergrad. Okay, and it's different for grad school, and it's different for plus. And basically, plus is when your parent is the one taking out the student loan on your behalf. Okay, so how do you find your student loan percentage? You can pull up a letter if you have physical letters of your charges, invoices, payments, right, from your service provider for your loans. Look at the letter, look at the statement. That's what I'm trying to say, statement. Pull up the statement, whether you have a physical one or you can go online and look at the electronic digital statement. And it will tell you, actually rather easily, it will tell you the year you took out the loan. This is the year, by the way, the loan was taken out. We're not talking about this year. So some people, oh, what just happened? Some people take out loans every year. Okay. Some people take out loans, I don't want to say every year, okay, but every year they're in school. So let's say at the start of if you're graduating in 2026, for instance, in 2023, 2022, 2023 school year, you may have taken out a loan for that school year, okay? And that percentage was lower than, let's say, your sophomore year or your junior year, and it's probably going to be lower than your senior year. So that means that each year that you take out a student loan, the percentages are different. And I've seen situations where people take out multiple loans in a single year. Maybe you applied for a student loan and it wasn't enough, so you went back and you asked for more. Okay, but this is what this hopefully makes sense as to why when you look at your statements, the percentages are different for each year. Okay, it's because each year Congress set a different interest rate amount. All right, so how can you tell what your interest rate is? You can log into your servicer's website, whatever that servicer is, okay, or you can go to FSA, find Federal Student Aid website. Okay, let me put that here. Their website is, I think I put it in the chat already, but I will look for it again. Where did I find it? StudentAid.gov. Okay. And it may redirect you, StudentAid.gov. So when you get here, you're going to log in. And another FSA Federal Student Aid ID. Okay, so StudentAid.gov, put in your Federal Student Aid ID. You should have it. It should be really easy to find. Okay, Federal Student Aid ID. That's your identification number. Okay, you're going to put that in there. And you're going to put in, it's going to give you your login, username, and password. If it doesn't, you can request your username and your password. Okay, so you're going to log in and you're going to put in your information, and then you're going to select your statement so you can see the information. Scroll down, look at your loan breakdown information. If it has a section there that says loan breakdown, okay, and you're going to see all of the federal loans that you have. And it's going to say whether it's that direct subsidized we're talking about or direct unsubsidized, okay? And it's going to give you your balance. So it's going to give you what's called the principal, and your principal is your that starting amount, okay? So principal is, you can think of it as, if I spell this right, as the original. Okay, that's the original amount. Okay, and then it's going to give you your balance. Okay,